Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. Today we're doing another R&R episode, reviews and ratings of all the different games that I've been playing this week with family, friends, and even solo. As you can tell, I've got a little bit of a different background today, and that's because I've been out of town for a bit. But that doesn't mean I haven't been playing games. I've got 10 games to talk about, so we're doing it right from my parents' basement. Let's jump into that first game, The Mind. The Mind is a cooperative, no communications game where each round players will get a number of cards equal to the round. The cards are numbered from 1 to 100, and players must, without communicating, lay down cards onto a collective discard pile from lowest number to highest number without messing up. This is a game that really came out with a boom a few years ago, and everyone was talking about this. My group had kind of played this game out, and we finally broke it out again recently and showed a few new people. This is a neat idea and can be pretty fun to show people. But I do only give it a 6.5 rating because to me, after a few plays, I do tend to not want to play it again for a bit. On to the next game with Summoner Wars Second Edition. Summoner Wars Second Edition is the new edition of the older two-player only card battling game where players get to pick one faction that is headed by their summoner leader. Each faction plays quite a bit different with different abilities. The player that can eliminate the other player's summoner first wins the game. This is quite a strategic game, but has a blend of dice chucking luck in it. I had no experience with the first edition, so I was coming into this edition blind. I found that I was really enjoying it, though I do wish there was a little bit less dice luck in this game, but I still give it a 7.5 rating, and I'm excited to explore this more and to see the other factions they will bring into this game. Next, let's take a look at Latice Hawaii. Latice Hawaii is a two-player tile-laying game where players are trying to be the first one to lay down all of their tiles. The tiles have shapes on them that are varying colors. You can only place your tile next to another tile that is the same color or the same shape as the one you are laying. Depending on how many tiles are adjacent to that one you laid, you will get a number of sunstones, and sunstones can be spent to take more turns. There are also tiles that you can play that will manipulate the board a little bit. I enjoyed this game, giving it a 7 rating, even though it is a pretty luck-dependent game, but it is so fast, so it didn't bother me that much. Let's move on to the next game, Roland Wright. Roland Wright is, shockingly enough, a roll and write game about coloring in circles into certain patterns to obtain different special abilities and endgame points. Each turn, the first player rolls the dice and then sorts those dice into groups of the same colors. Then they will choose one of those groups and color in that many circles with that color, while the non-active player chooses from the remaining groups of dice to do the same. Then they may erase one circle and take the special ability gained from erasing that color. The thing about this game is I enjoy the concept, but it is one of the most fiddly games, with there only being one marker for each color, and players constantly need to use multiple markers each turn, so you're constantly passing markers and waiting for other players to be done with certain markers. So the multiplayer rating for this game gets a 5 for me, just for that reason. Where the solo game still does feel a bit fiddly, but less so, so it gets a 6.5 rating. But I'm not sure this one will be staying in my collection much longer. Moving on to a filler game with Hack and Slash. Hack and Slash is this very quick dice chucking game where you will have workers going out to a card and trying to roll your dice higher or equal to what the card says. The harder the difficulty of the card, the more points it is worth. If you succeed, you get that card and will be counted towards your total points at the end, and you get your workers back. If you fail, you will lose the workers that you put onto that card. The game ends when either a player has no more workers or all the cards have been claimed. Either way, highest point total wins then. I guess this is an okay game if you're looking for a fast dice chucker with not much strategy, but to me, after one play, you see everything the game has to offer. I give the game a 5.5 rating, and I really have no need to play it again unless someone really wants to. Now let's check out That's Pretty Clever. That's Pretty Clever, or the German version, Ganz schön clever, is a roll and write game that has garnered quite the popularity. In this game, you will be rolling 6 different colored dice and drafting those dice to mark off spots on your score sheet. Each different color of dice has a different way that they will score and how they can be marked onto your score sheet. For example, the green dice, you have to fill out the green section of the score sheet from left to right, and each box will have a minimum of how low that green dice you draft can be. Then you will score points for how many green boxes you have marked off at the game's end. This is a great Roland Wright, with me giving it a 7.5 rating, and it is one game I highly suggest to try the app out if you like the physical game. Going to a tiny game now with Micro Dojo. Micro Dojo is a very small resource management game with a kind of worker placement mechanic in it. On a player's turn, they slide one of the meeples on the 3x3 grid onto an adjacent square and gain that square's benefit, which is gaining resources and different actions. You will also be trying to accomplish different goals throughout the game to gain points. This is a very simple game, and this was a Kickstarter game that cost literally only $5. So the game, of course, isn't that high quality, but the fact it was only $5, you can't hold it against them. This gets a 6.5 rating, but for it being such a cheap buy, this was definitely worth that price and has quite a bit of depth for a small, cheap game. Moving quickly on to the next game, Point Salad. Point Salad is the extremely fast-paced card game about collecting vegetable cards that was immensely popular right when it came out. Players take turns either taking 2 vegetable cards, or they can take 1 scoring card from the top. The scoring cards determine how you will score your points for that game. That is literally the entire game. You play until there are no more cards left. This is one of the most simple games I have ever come across that still holds some kind of strategic value to its name. I give this game a 7 rating for how fun and easy they have made this game, and is one of my go-to games for showing people with no experience into modern gaming. Next, let's look at Wonder Woman Challenge of the Amazons. Wonder Woman is a cooperative game where the players will team up and play as a group of Amazons trying to defeat the big bad guy. And this game comes with 3 different big bads that you can choose to fight for your scenario. You will be dealt 5 cards each round, and the cards will show different actions you can do with that card, whether it's moving your character around the board, attacking certain enemies, removing roadblocks, or different other things depending on the scenario you choose to play. Also, when you are dealt these cards, 2 are shown face up and then 3 face down, and then players will try to strategize together what they should attempt to do this turn. Afterwards, players will look at these face down cards quietly. Then the cards will be laid down onto your board in 3 different action slots, and then players will go around doing their first action, and then after everyone moves to their second action, and so on. I found this to be a good co-op game that I gave a 7.5 rating to, and I really like how they try to mitigate the alpha players in this by limiting when players can strategize together. From one cooperative game to another, moving on to Atlantis Rising Second Edition. Atlantis Rising is a game I have been after for quite a long time, and just recently it became readily available again, so I picked it up first chance I got. This is a cooperative worker placement game where players will be working together to build a cosmic gate to transport the civilians of Atlantis to safety before the whole island is swallowed by the sea. You will have to gather up your resources by going to these different spots and hopefully rolling dice high enough to obtain them. And there is a few ways to help you mitigate the dice along the way. Then you will have to start constructing pieces of the gate while the island is piece by piece being turned over to its ocean side, making that tile unusable to the group now. I'm glad I finally got to try this game, and quite a few times this week actually, and can already tell it will be among my favorites in the co-op genre of games. I'm giving this game a 9 rating, and this game gives me the feel like it's going to be one of those modern classic cooperative games that will stick around for quite a while, and it will earn my game of the week. And that should adjourn this meeting. I hope the video quality and sound isn't too bad. Sorry about this. I had to shoot today here in the basement, but hopefully it turns out. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of some of the games I tried out this week. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more videos from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. I hope you all have an amazing day, and take care.